What happens if he stayed next to them, like, you know, with the thing strapped on his neck? You think they would have clicked it or something? Like, you think they would have still clicked it? I would have held on tight to one of them. I'm not going. You gotta take me out with you. Hey, I bet you they wouldn't have clicked it then.
What go down with the Major fam today? It's Major and we back with another one. Today we got a crime video on our hands. I know it's been a long time since I did a crime video, but I'm gonna try to throw one in there every now and then. But this one is about the pizza and how it was the weirdest case in FBI history. We're gonna find out why. But this man that we gonna be watching today, man, he one of the greatest storytellers I've seen, at least on the internet. Y'all let me know, but I will be leaving a link down below in the description to the original video. Y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, man. Hit that notification bell so y'all know when I upload another video. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it.
Brian, a man who had an explosive device strapped around his neck and was forced to rob a bank. Now, if you thought what I said was weird, wait till I introduce you to the people responsible for this crime. Now, this part right here is a YouTube exclusive, this explanation, because I can go into a little more detail about our cast of characters. Now, the people who committed this crime are named Will, Marjorie, and Barnes. We'll start with Barnes. Barnes, small town drug dealer, nothing too big on him. But Marjorie and Will are described as highly intelligent, but basically they're insane. Marjorie, a little history on her is the men around her life would mysteriously disappear. She had a boyfriend in college.
Hold on, man. This young Marjorie. This young Marjorie, man. She didn't look too bad. She didn't look too bad. I could see how she was luring these men in and, you know, they disappeared. Wouldn't have got me, though. But, hey. Dang. She was out here making men disappear? God dang. This is older Marjorie. And this young Marjorie right here. That's wild. When you're evil, I guess you age terribly.
College, she popped him. She had a whole court case. She gets off saying it's self-defense.
That's
crazy. She then gets a fiance. Her fiance ends up in the hospital one day. Marjorie brings him to the hospital. They said, girl, what happened? She said, oh, you know what? He hit his head. The fiance passes away. She said, dang, that's crazy. She then gets another boyfriend. He passes by an overdose. Now, all this might be a coincidence.
That was 3 dudes who all passed dealing with her. I ain't gonna lie. You come to me about, bro, imagine you the third dude, right? Imagine you the third dude. And, you know, she telling you the history of her past boyfriend. She's like, yeah, you know, my other 2 boyfriends, they disappeared. I don't know what happened to them. What you mean they disappeared? Yeah, they're no longer on this earth anymore. What? They ain't no longer on this earth. Yeah, they're no longer on this earth. You want to be my boyfriend though? I'm pretty sure that's not how that conversation went, but come on, bro. He didn't know she had 2 other men that disappeared dealing with her? Bro, that's scary, bro. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. You gotta know the history of the person who you dealing with. They could be psychotic like this girl right here. She made 3 men disappear. And nobody knew it was her. I'm pretty sure it was her. No way 3 men are just disappearing because it's not her. They all have something in common. They all dealt with you.
Sure, but I just want you to understand who you're dealing with before we dive into the story.
Okay.
Will, described as highly intelligent as well, but he needed the world to see it. He would always do little things to prove he's the smartest person in the room. Take note of all of that. We about to jump into the vertical style video, but this is going to give you a little bit of insight into why crazy things are about to happen. All right, lock in. And just remember, their names are Will, Marjorie, and Barnes.
Okay.
One day, Marjorie said, hey, y'all, I'm broke. They said, all right, girl, what you finna do to get some money? She said, my dad's rich. If I him, I'm finna get some money. Barnes said, okay, girl, I'll do it for you. Just give me 250. She said, 250 what? Barnes said, 250,000. Marjorie said, nah, that makes sense. And this is where Marjorie had a problem. She needed to figure out a way to get $250,000. So she decides, with Barnes and Will, to rob a bank. Now, you keeping up so far. They all decide, rob a bank. Get 250,000. Pay Barnes. Marjorie's dad. Marjorie gets her dad's money.
Okay.
Enter Will, who the FBI describes as highly intelligent. They describe Marjorie as highly intelligent as well, but you're about to see that they both have a few issues. Will said, may I help you to plan this robbery? Marjorie and Barnes said, sure, what do you have in mind? Will said, well, you see, I have this explosive collar device I invented. All we gotta do is strap it to somebody and make them do the robbery for us. Marjorie and Barnes said, that makes sense. So they call up a pizza spot where Brian was working as a delivery driver. They said, hey, yo, can we get a pizza in our location? Brian said, large or medium? They said, just come to the location, don't matter. Brian said, y'all want some drinks with that? They said, no, thank you, Brian. Just come to the location. Brian said, bet, I'm on my way. Brian drives to the location. Barnes and Will grab him and pull out the... They say, you better do what we say or you finna...
That's one of the reasons why I was scared to be a pizza delivery driver. I ain't gonna lie. That's one of the reasons. Because, you know, back then when I was younger, people, you know, the pizza delivery drivers, they was getting got. And I was scared. I said, no, please. And that's what made me stay away from the pizza delivery jobs.
I have a problem. We need you to rob some banks. They then attached the collar to Brian, the pizza delivery guy's neck.
Damn.
Now here's where things start to get terrifying. Will then says, Brian, I've created a game for you. It's a scavenger hunt. After you rob the bank, you must find 4 keys. These keys will unlock your collar and you will be freed from the explosive device.
No way my life is dependent on a scavenger hunt. Bro, his life was dependent on a scavenger hunt. Bro, that's a bad way to go out. His life is dependent on a scavenger hunt, and if he don't complete it, he's done. Boy, what happens if he stayed next to them, like, you know, with the thing strapped on his neck? You think they would have clicked it or something? Like, you think they would have still clicked it? I would have held on tight to one of them. I'm not going. You got to take me out with you. Hey, I bet you they wouldn't have clicked it then. Well, you know, they are a little crazy. They probably would have still clicked it. But I would have did everything in my favor. I would have gripped on, press that button, and you're coming with me.
Now, if you cannot find these keys, then this timer will go off and kaboom. Brian says, all right. See, another strange part of the story is Brian's calmness throughout the situation. He said, all right, I'm on my way. I'll go do it right now. Brian goes to the bank. He waits in.
Dang, Brian, they was probably scoping Brian out. Like, they probably knew who to get for this situation. That's probably why they called that exact pizza place. Like, most of the time when somebody doing crime and everything, they scoping out, like, who they can get. Like, they learning people's schedules. They learning people, basically. They learning these individuals and seeing, like, okay, they'll be good for this. And so they thought Brian was good for this because he was so calm. He may be on the scale. That's probably why he was so calm, man. Dang, Brian.
In line patiently for his turn. Goes to the teller and says, yo, they about to, blow this thing. Can you give me 250,000? I got 15 minutes. The teller says, Brian says, also I have this that's shaped like a cane that the guy who invented the collar also invented. So can you just... The teller said, I'm sorry, sir. Is that a lollipop in your mouth? Brian was sucking on a lollipop. He said, oh, yeah, I just saw some in the front. Just help myself. Excuse me. But really don't mind.
Dang, he was extremely calm. I ain't gonna lie. I would have been panicking, sweating. I would have been drenched in sweat. That's how nervous I would have been. Collar strapped around my neck like I'm a dog? And it can go boom? No, I'm scared. I'm nervous. I wouldn't even been able to talk right. But that boy Brian was calm. They knew who to get for this situation, man. Damn, man. I'm sorry you even had to go through this, Brian.
I only got 15, though. The bank teller says it takes way more than 15 minutes to get into the vault to get that much money. That's bank robbery 101. You stupid? Regardless, you seem like a chill guy. Let me just give you the money in the cash register. It's about $8,000. Brian said, you did the best you could. Yeah, I'll just take the $8,000. Appreciate you. Takes the money. He starts swinging the money in the cane without a care in the world. On camera. Walks out the bank. They call the police. They say, yo, we just got robbed. Police say, by who? They say, oh, really chill guy. Police say, okay, we on our way. They pull up. They see Brian chilling by his car looking at the scavenger map. He said, where are we going? They said, excuse me, sir, put your hands behind your back. He sits.
They hit that boy with one of these. Raise that window down, sir. That boy raised the window down. He looked, had the scavenger hunt in his lap. He said, yeah. They said, you're coming with us, sir. And this is it.
Cross-legged. He said, nah, y'all don't understand. Like, I don't got that much time. Like, I got about 15 minutes. This thing about to go off. Police rushed behind their cars. They said, oh, no, he tripping. Say that again. Brian said, look, I got to complete this scavenger hunt, Brody. Now, police, from his calm demeanor, thought, okay, he might be lying. They didn't take him seriously. So they evacuate the area just in case.
Bro, he's so
and they
calm.
called the boom squad. But since there was so much traffic from the evacuations, the boom squad arrived too late. Brian's collar actually goes off, and police were shocked. So they immediately check Brian's car and see the scavenger hunt. They follow the scavenger hunt, and they find.
Dang, Brian. Bro, he was so calm. Bro was so calm. Dang, Brian. Man, my guy Brian, man. Yeah, they knew exactly who to get for this situation, because they probably knew he was going to be super calm just like this. Dang, Brian.
That there was no way that Brian would have completed the scavenger hunt and got the keys in time. So he was always set to get. And here's where things start to get wicked.
That's crazy.
Will calls the police and says, police, if I were you, I would look into this lady named Marjorie. She just, her boyfriend. I then helped her hide him in a freezer, and now I'm about to myself. Now, this was unrelated to the bank robbery. Her boyfriend was a completely other guy. This is another situation. But this got police started on the trail. Police rush over. Lo and behold, they find Marjorie's boyfriend in a freezer. And this leads to an...
Bro, is this the fourth guy? That's the fourth guy? Bro, they didn't catch on to her on the second guy? The third? They only caught on to her because somebody told them? Come on, man. Hey, that's another situation. Listen.
Same series of events where the three of them start snitching on each other. Marjorie says, oh, you snitched on me? Hey, by the way, he has something to do with the pizza guy getting... Barnes then gets dragged into it, and he starts snitching on them some more. Will passes from cancer before he can see any jail time, before the police can really hone in their investigation on him. Barnes strikes a deal with the FBI, so he gets 22 years in prison. Marjorie, life in prison. Now here's where things start to get wickeder. Barnes, some other guy involved in the robbery who I didn't mention because he's not that important, and Marjorie say Brian was so calm because he was in on the plan. Now the FBI also believes that Brian was involved in the crime at first. Then he found out that the explosive device was real, but at that point it was too late. He was forced to do it anyway. Brian's family and another person involved in the case said that's absolutely not true. Brian was just a regular pizza delivery guy that got roped into this whole mess. That part of the crime still basically remains unsolved. But I want to make a special note for Will, the guy who invented the explosive collar in the first place. As an FBI analyst puts it, he doesn't think this whole thing was about robbing a bank. Like at first it might have been, but at some point the three criminals lost the plot. And that's what makes this whole case so strange. An FBI analyst says that Will loved to prove how smart he was. And this whole case was an elaborate game to do just that. To prove how smart he was. A scavenger hunt. But then at the end of the game, the participant gets, because no snitches, right?
So he was a braggadocious criminal. He was like, man, I'm so smart. I could do all of this. That's what the FBI trying to say he did. And I could believe that. He looked like it. The Three Stooges? Come on, man. He looked like it, man. I believe that.
And to be honest, I think the same thing. After reading everything about the case, it seems like Will was just absolutely deranged. And to him, it was never about the money. It was about masterminding an insane event that would prove his intelligence to the world.
Man, that's the end of the video, man. I appreciate y'all, man. What y'all think about that? What y'all think about that? That boy Will is out of his mind. That boy is he's smart, but you know he ain't that smart. He was so braggadocious about what he had going on. Man, that boy kinda all of them, you know, they out of there. But man, my boy Brian, man, you know. Man, my boy Brian, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this video down below. Y'all let me know if y'all want to see more videos like this, and sure, just if y'all would want me to react more to more crime videos, then just let me know, man. We family here. But with that being said and done, man, I appreciate y'all. It's Major, and we gone.